Okay, so I'm going to set up some sheets in Revit to get the plan views and the other views that you've made into a state where you can print them at the scale you want and have multiple views on a page as well. And so I've got a couple of sheets already, but I want to start again from scratch. So I'm going to right-click on all of those and choose Delete. And oh, it's telling me all open views in a project not allowed. That's okay. I can just open up a different view, and then it'll let me, if I right-click on that, delete, and then again I'll right-click on the other sheet and delete it as well. So then you can see you've got Sheets All, which is a category you should always have in the project browser. And probably the easiest way to make a new sheet is to right-click there and go to New Sheet. You can also go on the View tab to Sheet there. So if you haven't got the project browser, that's another way of doing it. But again, from the project browser is probably the easiest way. New Sheet, and then you'll have a selection of the sheets that are loaded into your project. But they're most likely here going to be the Autodesk sheets with the Autodesk logo and Revit logo and everything. You don't want that. So if you click Load, then you can go to the Title Blocks folder in the main library, and you'll see some different sheet sizes, but again, they'll all have this horrible Autodesk logo. So I'm going to browse instead up the top to the P drive, and then in the Interior DC Interior Design folder, go to, well, I want to go to Revit Library, but that's somewhere that I've been going quite often. So I'm going to drag that folder over to the left to this grey shortcuts bar, and that'll make a permanent shortcut for me. So on this computer, I'll always be able to get quickly to that folder by clicking on Revit Library. And now you can see there's a title block folder there, which has a lot more title blocks. Okay, so I've got A3 metric Oz and another A3 metric, which is the one we've done here. So these ones with DCE, different versions that people have made over the years here. So I'm going to use this one here, DCE 2012. So that's now loaded, and just need to make sure it's selected and click OK. And I've got a new page. Okay, so clicking on the border there, you'll see basically any field that goes blue. In this case, the logo also happens to be blue, so I can't edit that. But all these other fields where I've got blue text, I can change those values. So this will probably be my cover sheet. And then the owner, well, I'll just put me. And we'll put the project. And all these other details you can add in as you go as well, the drawing number and so on. So going to the project browser now, I've got some different views set up. I'm just going to open them so you can see the floor plans there, just to get an idea what they look like before they're on the sheet. So I've just opened up that sheet again now, and I'll drag that first floor plan view just by left-clicking and dragging across onto the sheet, and then you need to click again to place them. And so you can see the plans come onto the sheet, but because I've got all these extra symbols and other things, it's far too large for this page. The area of the plan that I want is easily going to fit on this page, but again, those other symbols are making it too big. So I'm going to delete that. I'm just going to click on the viewport again and delete it. And I'm going to go back to the view and do a bit of tidying up. You can do it when you're on the sheet, but it's a really good idea to do it before you've placed it on the sheet, and do a few other things to set it up so that it's ready for the way you want it to print. Okay, so a really good trick here, and something I always encourage people to do, is duplicate the view for printing. Right, so right-click on the view, go to Duplicate View, and then Duplicate with Detailing, which will give you an exact copy of the view. And so it's not a copy of the objects, they're the same objects. If I delete a wall from here, it's gone in the other view. So it's just a copy of the view. But then I'll rename that view. Again, right-clicking, I've got to rename. And I'll call it what I want it to be on the sheet. So I want it to be maybe, well, I'm going to go back to the Australian way of naming levels, ground floor plan. Then with the symbols there, I've been showing you can use the visibility graphics section in your view properties. Click on the edit button there to get all your view categories up, and you can hide any of those categories in that way. So I could hide. You need view. Yeah, yeah. So it's important to know about that. That is the main control for visibility. But I'm going to show you another quicker way. When you select an object, I'm sure you've seen when you right-click, you can go to Hide in View and then choose either Elements or Category. Okay, so I'm going to choose Category because I want to hide all of those symbols, all those elevation symbols, the whole category. Right, so that's something you do all the time, and a really good shortcut for that, I'll do it with the reference planes now, is VH. So that's View Hide, and so that'll hide all the objects of that category. Now the other option, I'll just select the section. Okay, so the other option you can see when you right-click and go to Hide in View is to choose Elements. So that would just hide that particular object. Okay, so the shortcut for that is EH, or Element Hide. Right, so these are things you do all the time when you're setting up views for printing. Hiding lots of things, and then sometimes adding in some extra things. So annotation. Dimensions, if I draw some aligned dimensions here, and aligned dimensions are what you use most of the time. I'll just change this to wall faces. Okay, so I'll just put some overall dimensions there, and maybe an internal. And, or maybe I'll show you a trick. I'll do a wall dimension as well, and we'll get it to set the openings. So there we go. So I've got a window dimension as well. So dimensioning's, you know, a nice quick thing you can do in your views in Revit. But it's important to realise that it's unique to each view. So because it's annotation, that's what it means when you go to duplicate a view with detailing or not. You're choosing whether to duplicate it with that annotation or the 2D elements, which again would be your dimensions and text and things like that. So again, in that floor plan, I can go and draw some text here. And, oh, I didn't set the text height, so I'll set that to just 3.5 mil. And so this will be lounge or something. Oops. Oh, that's one of the standard sizes. So, yeah, 2 mil, 2.5, 3.5 high. It does. No, it stays at 3.5, and then, yeah, it'll change the other thing with the scale. So, yep, so back on the sheet now. I can drag my new ground floor plan view over onto the sheet. And, well, you might think it should be smaller, and it is generally, but then the tag you can see is still coming with this really large view area. And that's because of this final thing to do with your views, your cropping. And so, if I'm sure notice that I've been going back into the view there to change these view settings, and I could click down here to find that crop region and change it here. But I just want to show you how to do that on the sheet. Okay, so I can see it here as well. If you select the viewport, you can just right click, or up the top, go to Activate View, and you can make any changes that you like here as well. And you can draw in the views and delete objects. It's just the same as when you're drawing in a viewport. So that's the area that it probably should be cropped. And I'll just hide the crop region again. So everything's greyed out except the things in the view at the moment because I'm still in that viewport. So to get back to the sheet, you just need to right click and then deactivate view. And so now I can select the plan view itself or anything on the sheet. And so then I can continue adding more views to the sheet. But you might have noticed as well the tag that I had for this plan is still down out in outer space. So the final thing there, just to finish that viewport, if I try and move the viewport itself, the tag will go with it, but I don't really want that. I want the tag to move by itself. So the trick there is just to, what I do anyway, is just deselect everything, click into an empty space, and then you should be able to click on the tag by itself, and it will move. If you then try to move it, you can move it on its own. The unusual thing though is that if you want to change the length of that line, you do have to select the viewport again, and you can stretch it. Yeah, it's counterintuitive, but once you get used to it, it works. And so then the next view, I can basically do the same thing, but I've done all the setup there that I want for my plan view. So I'm going to just do one last thing, and I'll probably finish the video there. I'll save those view settings just by right-clicking on the view, create view template from view, and I'll call this my plan. That'll do. Okay, so that goes into the list there. Now I can go to my new level, it's this one, floor plan. Right click and do the same as before, duplicate with detailing. Can give it a better name. And then so I don't have to do all of those things with the view again, right click on the view name, apply template properties, choose my plan. So that's done most of it. I've got to change some things individually because obviously they were hidden manually, but otherwise most of the work's done. The cropping I might need to check, but that's okay. And so that can now just go straight onto the sheet. And so when you move the cursor there, you'll see if the view can line up, if it makes sense to line it up. So in this case, it would make sense to have it projected across so these walls align. It should give you a projection line to do that. So yeah, and again, you'll get those when you drag things like the tags to line those things up. So yeah. Oh, yeah. I was going to say that's really all there is to it. And well, maybe if I just make one extra sheet, you'll see that a lot of that now is going to carry through onto the others. So the project details and others go in. Yeah, the title block. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So once you load that in, that's the same always in this file, except for those different details. But oh yeah, you were asking about the doing different title blocks, and a good way to do that is just start with one that you'll find in the library, load it in, select the border, and then you can go to Edit Family, and that'll take you to the file where it's been made. And so you can then, see if you can play around with those. So you can change any of these things easily. They're all just lines and text, and you can insert your own logos and do anything else. Yeah, if you went back to loading the project, yep, it would. But it's probably a good idea to do a save as and give it a new name, and that way you can save it in your own library and then load it in and change it to the new name. But But yeah, if you just load it straight in, if you just want to do it quickly, that'll work as well. So try and have a go at that. But I want to also get you onto the museum project as well today. So I'll just finish that there.